To sum up the case in Sweden, we'll say that we find this the use of digital platform very important as a central part that we want to implement really. The logic here is that we have several national authorities that share the responsibility. So it has been kind of a process to involve the right stakeholders. We have the National Energy Agency, but we also have the National Authority for the housing sector and also for the one for environmental issues and inspections. And then we have the regional authorities that implement the energy directives and the environmental inspections. So the process of, as Oscar said, who will actually take the lead responsibility has been kind of the biggest issue, not agreeing that this is something that is needed, but who should take the lead. And the state right now is that we are seeking a way to develop this digital platform and integrate it with the system for reporting environmental data. The case is that according to the Swedish environmental code, all companies need to yearly report or get inspections to say how much other emissions and chemicals and all environmental issues that they have or use. And that within this framework, we are integrating the use of energy and the emission of CO2. So that means that all companies should actually have knowledge about their own energy use and work in a systematic way to reduce it. And to prove that, this database could be a way for them to insert the data and show how far they have come and that they have done an energy audit. And then the inspector could then easier judge if the company has done enough or not. And if it's by benchmarking, getting more information about what could more be done in this for this building or for this company. And from such a database, it would then be, the idea is to extract data for the National Energy Agency for following up on the directives and so on. So it's one platform, but several ways of connecting or extracting information and data into the needs for different authorities. And of course, we talk a lot about when I said now we talk about companies, and then we don't only talk about large companies, but all enterprises that uses energy should be part of this. And then also it makes logical to include energy performance certificates for buildings, which also goes into a black hole in Sweden today where you cannot extract and benchmark data. So maybe it could be extended in the long run also with that type of data. I think that was the case in Sweden, if you wanted me to say more, but this was very
No, thank you. I think it was very understandable. And
yep.
Yeah. Does anyone else have some comments or questions for the case of Sweden? Okay, Karina?
Yes, one simple question, Marit. What about the households? You spoke about all the enterprises, but what about the buildings?
Yeah, in Sweden there is different registers for the EPC, energy performance certificates, and for the audits done in enterprises. This goes into two different black holes, as we say, registers where you cannot easily extract data. And we start with the audits, but the idea is, of course, that something similar is needed for also energy performance certificates. But it's another national authority, and it's another process of adding that. So we take it step by step.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Karina, you can go on and talk about the case of Latvia.
Oh, okay. I can try. We already had an excellent presentations from the representatives of the European Commission, providing us with the upcoming policy in energy efficiency, as well as our Swedish colleagues on data handling and NEED platform. And in the case of Latvia, testing of the platform provided an excellent example of what opportunities there may be in comparing data at the cross-national level. An important lesson that we will take with us for Latvia is that there are still important details in data analysis to facilitate the systematization of energy performance data in buildings and further analysis to achieve specific goals. From Latvia's side, we specifically speak about the buildings since this is in this project, this is our main target and main focus, if I would say so. Well, unlike national platforms, the NEED platform can store data, as I already said, at the transnational level. And it is this aspect that has the potential to compare energy efficiency policies between countries and to take over the best practices and experiences from other countries, from other member states. At the same time, we have to take into account that in order for the data to be successfully comparable, they must be compared on the basis of comparable criteria. Namely, what I mean, for example, and at least the type of building, the type of energy audit, the calculation methodology, which I mean some similarities between these calculation methodologies, also climatic similarities. So as we in Latvia have a database of building energy certificates in the separate construction information system, in the future, by improving it and introducing the data comparison function, these aspects that I have mentioned will definitely be taken into account. Meanwhile, we truly see that the NEED platform could be further developed by introducing already my mentioned benchmarks. And as a result, it can be used successfully, truly successfully, to compare energy performance data for buildings across countries. And so this data can be used for the energy policies. This will be my comment from our side.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any comments or questions for Karina? I think our stance is a bit different as we are the only ministry among the project partners. But let's hear from Tartu Regional Energy Agency, Antti.
Yeah, very good. In Estonia, during the renovation wave, actually, which began already 6 years ago, the conditionality of auditing in the EU grant schemes has been softened. In housing, there was some empowering in public premises, but in general, auditing is now embedded and integrated into the seamless process of renovation. technical designs and all such very common project preparations. And no doubt auditing or benchmarking is needed to show real data evidence as well proof what justifies investments and selecting deeper and deeper renovation package. And according to data, what we can say today here in Estonia, the energy consumption of Soviet era buildings can be decreased up to 30, even 40%. Of course, it can be lower. And according to KAMS testing, what really we experimented in our 8 buildings premises, what remains the weaknesses of Estonian auditing and wider energy management. First, disaggregated data on subcategories of electric use, for example, ventilation, lighting, space cooling is missing in majority of cases and buildings. And it's a real problem how to move forward. Definitely you have to introduce some additional measurement and installation in the electric energy system. Second, we are seeking the standard approach for the emissions factors and CO2 reporting, as it remains underrated subsection in the current energy tools and in the benchmarking in general. Third, what was explained by Oscar and Patrick is cost efficiency analysis, and it's also some real exploratory area to get clear understanding of extent and impact of already introduced energy efficiency measures and packages, and just to get very transparent understanding what is going on in the market. And finally, of course, in Estonia, as we are trying to be e-Estonia in all corners of world and Europe, in introducing the automatic digital energy certification of buildings in the state building registry, and this system supports with instant online service, enabling follow-up and assisting all parties in the energy auditing, as well as Patrick Tollander explained about multiple initiatives. We are continuing to test and deploy our own benchmarking tool, which is developed to support renovation schemes and assist housing associations. That's all from Estonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's move on to Poland. Jacek, are you here with us?
Okay. Hello?
Hi, yes, we can hear you.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hi. Okay. Thank you very much for my turn now. And we have to speak about the lessons from this national approach from the KAMS project to the methodology of auditing, and especially the use of this digital database. And of course, we tried to do it, but with the 6 buildings audited, with a special approach. It is by trying to cover as much as possible these end users and all this, of course, energy carriers, but with end users, of course, the problems with the lighting and the ventilation and pumping. So the data should be covered. So what was not easy, but in some extent, with the help of some calculations and some assumptions, because the data are not measured in Poland in a regular term, so we covered. But the next thing was to try the approach to the measures. I mean that the approach from CAMS, especially from Sweden, was that suggested that any single measure is assessed individually. The effectiveness in energy terms and economic terms is calculated individually for any single measure. So this approach was applied also to our auditing buildings, and we summarized the effect, and it was quite surprising that the effects from the individual measures is quite different from that which could be achieved by synergy of many others, complex approach. And then in Poland, we use this individual calculation for the first stage of selection of measures. Then we use the more complex approach, such a cascade of assessment of the renovation approach. So this the approach from CAMS have take some doubts if it is correct, in fact. The next suggestion from the SPEED methodology was a stakeholder involvement and the complex and the simplicity of audits, that it should be more user-friendly. This is a very good suggestion, and we assess it as ideal approach, but there are still difficulties with both on the side of stakeholders. The clients, the customers want just to have a document to be used for applying for money, and not that get involved in the analysis or assessments of energies. And on the other side, there is some thresholds on the auditors sector. I would say the professional auditors prefer calculations and more technical recommendations and so on, not going into social studies and approaches. And this is a kind of problem. Well, summing up, that this is and then well, of course, this is the question of use of this platform data, and it's this this was assessed by other partners as well, and we can agree with this that it is now at the stage of the development of this Nordic or Baltic energy audit database. This is a tool for collecting data with some difficulties, because there is a lot of informational technology and communicational gaps or faults in this tool. So it is very quite difficult sometimes to follow, for instance, the year you have to provide the data for a certain year, and you have every time control if you are in the right year. Well, the next there are some digits which are not easy to set in this data platform. There is also questions of some industry, some workload of this collecting the data. Next, how we can use this data. There's a quite different problem, and it is a question of benchmarking and quality from this benchmarking. At this stage of the development of this tool, we have collected only some 60 cases for housing, or and just only a few or even none of cases for the other sectors like education or art centers, and well, so it is impossible sometimes, or in the case of housing, very doubtful this the assessment of the quality of this of the set of data in the benchmarking base. So at that stage, it is quite idealistic maybe approach, but at the stage of the development, it should be developed further, and it should be involved with some maybe voluntary sector people, not good for the official. No. There are, of course, some many problems with climate differentiation, with activities detailed in. If you take only the multi-family housing, we have many subtypes of this housing in our cities, and there is a lot of houses, flats used for short leasing. For a short time, so the behavior of the users of flats is quite different from the standard use in the recreational area. In like in our cities, we have analyzed Sopot and Władysławowo in the seaside region. There are inhabited during summer, and but with tourists and fishermen producing some crafts work in the salaries in the houses. So the use of energy is quite different from standard use in a typical house in Middle Poland, for instance. Yes. Of course, it's the problem with this climate correction coefficient. It is not easy. In each country is differently counted, and so there is a lot of problems. So we will suggest that first we should improve with cooperation with the ministry and all the legal the database which is in Poland collected, but it is not accessible fully. Some parts of this database is accessible, some are not, some parts are not. And the other problem with the digital platform, we think that is a very good idea to develop it further in the cooperation of voluntary sector, NGOs, and professional organizations around the Baltic Sea. So the exchange of knowledge from the different countries is very important. And we, for instance, translated some cases from Latvia, from Estonia and Sweden. Unfortunately, these are not in English in this project, and we have to fill the gap. Also, for Polish cases, we should, of course, translate one or example into English, and everybody should compare the approach and take the lessons from the methodologies, which are quite interesting. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacek. The final partner is from Russia, Yuri.
Yes, thanks. In Russia, the responsible body for energy saving in general is Ministry of Energy of Russian Federation. And regional level, we have corresponding regional authorities. In St. Petersburg, there is a Committee for Energy and Engineering Support, which has several subordinate organizations. One of these organizations is Energy Saving Center of Energy Efficiency and Energy Saving of St. Petersburg. And during our CAMS platform project, we have 2 events organized together with Center devoted to analysis of speed methodology and getting feedback from Russian possible users of this methodology and platform. The first such event was in November last year. The second one was in June this year. Despite the COVID restriction, ANTI participated in this event, and we have a slogan: CAMS platform comes to Russia despite closed borders. But seriously speaking, it was very interesting and very useful meeting because we had an opportunity to discuss ideas of CAMS platform topics with representatives from almost all Russian regions. What we have found new in Russian Federation regarding the energy efficiency and auditing. First of all Russian organizations which get budget from state must set target indicators to reduce consumed energy resources and water. This is this system was established last year, but in this year it was somehow developed, and each state organization must provide these target indicators for 3 years. And after these 3 years, it must be analyzed, actualized, and so on and so on. So it will be a long-term system to establish target indicators and to move to these target indicators. And that's why all organizations must, this is an order of Ministry of Energy of Russian Federation, must develop their own programs for energy saving and energy improvement according to these target indicators. That's why methodology, speed methodology, analysis of data, and so on is very, very important for Russian stakeholders which are involved in this activity. Programs for energy efficiency, target indicators, data feedback, all this combined in the one word methodology. That's why speed methodology was very interesting for Russian stakeholders. The second, all state organizations, including regional authority, municipalities, and kindergartens and other organizations which get budget money, each must provide each year energy declaration. This is some kind of report about energy consumed and so on. Each year they must do this job. This is obligatory. And Russian stakeholders mentioned that there are some challenges and some difficulties for organization to use this system, especially now because in this year this system was improved. It is electronic form which must be filled in by these people from organization, and sometimes they do not have enough qualification or knowledge how to do it. That's why it was very important to establish this system for training, retraining, and education all stakeholders involved in this process, getting data, analyze data, and realize measures. That's why the idea to establish three-level system of training and education in the energy efficiency and energy auditing area was discussed. During this two meetings was supported by Russian organizations, and now this Center for Energy Efficiency of St. Petersburg organized regular webinars how to help and to train people how to work with this system for energy declaration, filling, and other topics. So I would like to underline once more that from Russian sides, this, how to say, part of activity, I mean, people training, retraining, and education is very important. In our CAMS platform, we have a special working package, and we are very interested in development this part of the activity, because data must be, this is directly linked to the quality of data, to analysis of the data, to the using this data that colleagues discussed today. So this is in general our input from Russia to this.